Tracy and I have always kind of had a connection. I think that we kind of can get each other's jokes, we kind of get each other. Honestly, I just feel like she was such a high-functioning addict that personality-wise, I really didn't see anything different from her. She hit it very, very well. I mean, I couldn't tell, ever. Yeah. When she got caught, it was devastating for our family.
Never, never did I think that my friend would be a heroin addict and in prison. Never. Not our Tracy Brumfield.
Crushed. And, you know, she was put on probation for a period of time, and I think she had 15 probation violations before they actually put her in prison. They gave her a ton of chances.
I did not visit her in prison. I couldn't. You know, I had some interactions with her during that. She wasn't my Tracy anymore. So I had to just kind of back away for a little bit.
It was very, very difficult. I had to cut her off, her and her partner. They slept in a car in the dead of winter in 10-degree weather in her car. And I had friends tell me, Sherry, that's the only way she'll ever stop.
I think maybe that needed to happen for her to realize, like, this is it. Like, there's nobody else. Like, I gotta get my shit together, you know?
I really wish Rise would have been around at the time that Tracy was in, because I think that it would have, as a family, give us something tangible to look at and something to hold on to and say, oh, okay, well, you know, give you something. I think something tangible would have helped.
You know, every week I go into the Justice Center and I provide peer support to the women in the recovery pod there. And you know, we will talk about different topics, and it's about what they may experience post-release. I typically just say there are two populations in the jail: those who maybe had a place to live, maybe transportation, a job when they went in. They may or may not have those same things to come out to. Or there are those who had nothing when they went in and have nothing to come back out to. I was in the former population where I had a job, I had an apartment, I had a car. So when I first got arrested, I was processed and released. That I was put in for longer and longer amounts of time, to where I eventually became unemployed. I lost my place to live, and that was a very scary proposition. I had, over the course of my active addiction, alienated a lot of my family, friends, so it was really scary. I felt like my options on who to call to help me were very, very limited. I was from a background where I didn't know how to navigate a lot of the resources, a lot of the public transportation. I felt really super overwhelmed. You know, it's one thing to provide resources for people while they're in there, and we hope that they use them and we hope that they plan for release, but it's a whole nother thing for when you hit that door. So we had the idea for a program that we're calling Right at Release for two reasons. Number one, there are those who are getting out, especially in inclement weather, that may not have appropriate clothing or protection from the weather or the elements. So we provide hat, scarf, gloves, a resource guide from Rise. Some of these items we've had donated, some of them we've purchased ourselves. And so we assemble these care packages. Myself, along with volunteers, we stand out in front of the jail. For those who are getting released, we offer them these packages. People are usually really, really thankful and grateful for them. We also ask the individuals to sit down with us if they would for a minute, and we try to get some survey information on them. Do you have a safe place to go? Do you have a way to get there? We have a select number of bus passes that I'll keep on us, that if somebody needs transportation, we'll provide that. You know, for someone who was in and out of the jail and experienced the anxiety of feeling trapped inside there, the difference of now being able to go out and go inside knowing that I'm able to come back out again is huge. And I often relate that to the ladies that I provide peer support to, that can be them in 6 months or a year, that they can be coming back in with me and providing peer support to other ladies who are in the same situation. I think the takeaway for that is to let them know that I'm no different than they are, and that they too get to go home. Maybe not that day, but they will, and that Rise and me personally will be there for them when they get out. The idea for RISE came out of my experience and understanding the need for the resource guide, but I knew that I could never execute actually putting together a publication by myself. I think I got really lucky and I found the right combination of people to create RISE.
I have a brother who I lost to addiction 2 years ago, and I think if I didn't even know, as a therapist and as somebody who's super type A and analytical and always looking everything up and researching answers for everything, if I didn't even know how to help him, how much more true that must be for a lot of people and just how helpless you can feel.
I want to work for RISE because I think people deserve to have hope. So for me, writing these stories and giving people something to read and someone to look up to that has been in the situation that they're currently in.
RISE has definitely changed my perspective on the heroin epidemic, the opioid epidemic, because people don't realize how deeply it really affects our community. RISE has definitely humanized people who struggle with addiction for me as well.
So Charmaine McGuffey was a major in the Sheriff's Department at the time that I had the idea for RISE. I went to Major McGuffey and I asked her, I said, if I were able to get this project funded, do you think the Sheriff's Department would support us doing this?
Tracy approached me. I wrote certainly a letter of support. And next thing I know, I get a phone call and she's telling me she got the grant, and it was just so I was so happy, and Tracy was just jubilant. And I tell you, as I saw the product develop, I realized really how special it is. I really do believe that Tracy was a huge part of the recovery, who did in fact recover after being in that heroin pot. They absolutely did, and they're still recovered today. And that's a tribute, not just to the newspaper of RISE, but to Tracy Brumfield.
When I was in jail, I was searching for answers. Rise Up newspaper was one of them, and I started reading it. And it was extremely powerful. It was good to know that there was somebody out there who understood encouragement through struggle. I wrote to Tracy, more or less thanking her for the words. I never in my life thought I'd end up in the places that I ended up. Some of the resources that she was putting in this newspaper were so difficult for me when I was out there to find on my own, that I got to a point where I started giving up. I couldn't keep track of it, couldn't organize it, couldn't stay focused long enough. And she had them there sitting in one newspaper, resources that people going through the struggle could utilize.
I would advise any agency, a jail, a sheriff's office, a help agency, to incorporate RISE in all of their curriculums and activities. RISE should be a publication that is available to everyone in the jail, not just heroin addicts.
RISE is important to continue on because I think, unfortunately, we have an epidemic on our hands. The vision for RISE is limitless. It goes above and beyond the newspaper, and I think that the more we can create awareness within the community of who we are and what we're about, I think that we're going to begin to see more people connecting with us. And the need is there, and the opportunities are there, and I believe the people, they will come.
It's super important. It should go out to everybody in society. I mean, everybody should be able to pick up one on the street. It should be distributed in high schools. It certainly is a beginning, and I'm hoping that it will proliferate. I'm hoping that people will take a look at it, because when you do, you realize how significant it really is.